आप सभी लोग हमारी तरफ से एक प्यार भरा नमस्ते,
नमस्कार,
वनकम,
नमस्कार,
खुशामदीद,
अस्सलाम वालेकुम,
सत श्री अकाल,
మీకు అందరికీ వందనము,
जय स्वामी नारायण,
जय श्री कृष्ण,
जय जिनेंद्र,
हमारे इस्माइली भाई बंधुओं से याली मदद।
मौला अली मदद बोलते हुए सारे फीचे मतलब बोल के नीसा बोला बदजन हम आ गए हैं आपके प्यारे महिमा के द्वारे। मैं से फालतू बाबा
And of course, myself, फालतू रानी लेकर आपके लिए एक और drive time that's going to make it another wonderful week, totally exciting and totally me as we inch upon a year of sheltering in place.
That's right, Badajan, almost getting closer to it. 340 days of sheltering in place right now, as of now. And right now, let's go see what's happening on the roads. Raste ka haal total saste mein.
It's time for the Bandu Traffic Update. Call us from wherever you are at 408-912-2479.
Shelter in place, Badajan is still on. Both the freeways are still kind of free right now, but that's a good thing actually. But there's a little bit of brush fire reported on 280 northbound at Bascom Avenue, Badajan. I'll tell you what, it's going to be a dry week all over. And it's going to be sunny all through the week. These kind of fires can happen, so watch out, drive very carefully. Wherever you find that kind of brush fire, try to stay away from it and stay safe. Most importantly, a severe traffic alert has been alerted because of a spill, Badajan, on 80 eastbound. It's east of the 4th Street in San Francisco. Actually, the lane there, the ramp also is blocked. And it's a huge backup, not only on the getting onto the 80 bridge, but also on the 80 bridge. There's a little bit of blockage, Badajan. So watch out for delays are going to happen, so probably reschedule your appointments and don't stress out over the fact that you get delayed and everything. But sometimes you get stuck in traffic. It's happened to me many times. I'm stuck oh my god, half an hour being delayed. Eventually it does lighten up. They are there, that they are see that unlike some places in China, but if you remember, there was a 12-lane freeway which was blocked for almost days together. Remember that storyline we shared some time ago last year, right, Faltoni?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was like scary. People will I don't know how people managed staying in those cars. Did they actually go to or get them some port up everything like that? No? What? Seriously, it was days, right? They were stuck on for second half of days.
Oh God, maybe people just went around wherever,
Possibly. Anyway.
God, of all the things you think about that first thing in the morning.
Of course. Hello, actually, don't everybody think of that first thing in the morning?
Oh God, terrible. Oh,
Forget
God.
thing they actually do so. Alright, but just right now it's time for us to go take a look at what's happening in the headlines. Patani, what's headlines first today?
Well, Supreme Court paved way for the release of Trump's tax rates. U.S. Supreme Court to review a hardline Trump immigration rule. More news coming out from the U.S. Supreme Court is that they finally pulled the plug on the election-related cases. Regulators probe engine blowouts as older Boeing 777s are being suspended. A day that will live in infamy. The United States nears the 500,000th, which is 500,000 COVID-19 deaths. And in updates from India, coronavirus life updates, India's active cases now again crossed the 1.5 lakh. Cases are rising in Maharashtra. Teachers may play a role in in-school COVID-19 transmissions. About a third of Texans are still facing disrupted water supplies. Broker IG pulls some of its riskier products after a gate frenzy. Chinese spyware code was copied from America's NSA, say researchers. Bitcoin dropped after it climbed to an all-time high. And in news from India, with the Puducherry election setback, Congress's political footprint diminishes further. And finally, in the toolkit, remember that farmers' toolkit case? Well, the Delhi court sends 21-year-old climate activist Disha Ravi to a one-day police custody.
That's all, one day?
Yeah. That's what they say.
My God, for all the sedition she did, only
Sedition.
one day. No?
Why do you think it's sedition?
Why not? Don't
The
you think
Supreme
so?
Court itself threw it out saying with people expressing...
Just because Supreme Court, excuse me, Supreme Court judges also are human beings and they are also prone to mistakes.
Right.
They misread stuff. It's all upon their interpretation. We actually put them to the highest pedestal, saying, "Oh, you guys can be just." Right? But anyway, justice does not serve sometimes, Rajan. Anyway, I don't want to talk about that. It'll get me too really excited about things because already I've been reading a lot of these posts on Facebook about all this stuff. I don't want to say anything about right now. Anyway, but right now, that was your headlines for you. We come in detail with the headlines for you for sure. Yes, I promise. But you know what? All this is going on there. This, that news from India, farmers news, protests over here, protests over there. Trump is gone. Happy news for us. And the thing is, most importantly, Banajan, I'll tell you what, no matter what happens, it just passes. Don't worry. Fikr not. Don't worry about things, Banajan. Because eventually all this will pass, right? And right now, Banajan, let me tell you, there's a nice Kanaya Kida for you guys who have brought up. And it's penned by Amitabh Bhattacharya. Music, of course, tuned by... see what is that? Penned and tuned. They don't rhyme, but anyways, Preetham. Exactly, but what happened, Faltwani?
I don't know, Altu Baba. I don't know what you did, Altu Baba.
I did something, Faltwani?
Yeah.
Oh, probably I did something, Faltwani. Always, I'm the most responsible person. Anything going wrong here is always my responsibility.
That's true.
Yes, but here you go. The Ghana coming back to you once again.
Good morning to all our bandhus joining us on Facebook as well. Thank you, Anna Ji and Bashir Saleh Saab, and to Rohini, and to so many of our bandhus who are saying hello on Facebook. Nice to see you guys joining us.
That's right, Banajan. Pagle fikr not. Jo bhi hona hai ho jane de. Pagle fikr not. From the movie Banajan, Chichore.
Figure
Afka Bajan, that was a Kanikina for you guys. But you wonder what's happening next? Next is going to be our very own news update for you from newscaster Bajan, newscaster Supreme. Faltwani, are you ready?
सुप्रीम का मतलब क्या है?
मतलब तू बहुत कास्ट करती ना?
क्या कास्ट करती हूँ?
मतलब न्यूज़ कास्ट करती ना तू याद सही.
Oh my god.
Afka Bajan, the news in detail for you guys coming right up with superhuman newscaster Faltwani.
Superhuman. Mocking me, Altu Baba.
Arey, nahi, you're like Wonder Woman for us.
Whatever, man. I'm pretty sure you're mocking me.
No, you last you so many news for us. You last so many news for us.
Whatever. Seriously. Anyway, let's give you some updates about what's happening at the U.S. Supreme Court. It's been a pretty active day. Donald Trump suffered a major setback on Monday in his long quest to conceal details of his finances as the U.S. Supreme Court paved the way for a New York City prosecutor to obtain the former president's tax returns and other financial records as part of a criminal investigation. The justices, without comment, rebuffed Trump's request to put on hold an October 7th lower court ruling directing the Republican businessman turned politician's long-time accounting firm Mazars USA to comply with a subpoena to turn over the materials to a grand jury convened by Manhattan District Attorney Cyrus Vance, who is a Democrat. Work continues, Vance said in a statement issued after the court's action. The U.S. Supreme Court has on Monday agreed to examine the legality of one of former President Donald Trump's hardline immigration rules that bars immigrants deemed likely to require government benefits from obtaining a legal permanent residency. President Joe Biden, who has criticized Trump's immigration approach, is widely expected to dump the so-called public charge rule. The justices agreed to take up an appeal that the Trump administration had filed of a lower court ruling that found the rule likely violated federal immigration and administration law by impermissibly expanding the definition of who counts as a public charge and greatly increasing who would be rejected for permanent residency. Trump's hardline stance towards legal and illegal immigration was a hallmark of his presidency, primarily at issue in the litigation filed in federal courts in New York and Illinois, is which immigrants would be eligible for legal permanent residency, known as a green card, and which won't be. U.S. immigration law has long required officials to exclude people likely to become a public charge from permanent residency. So you can get more information about that on MediaMahima.com. Also, the U.S. Supreme Court formally pulled the plug on the election-related cases, brought a formal end to 8 lingering disputes pursued by former President Donald Trump and his allies related to the November presidential election, including a Republican challenge to the extension of Pennsylvania's deadline to receive mail-in ballots. The justices turned away appeals by the Republican Party of Pennsylvania and Republican members of the state legislature of a ruling by Pennsylvania's top court ordering officials to count mail-in ballots that were postmarked by election day and received up to 3 days later. 3 of the 9-member court's 6 conservative justices, Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, and Neil Gorsuch, dissented from the decision not to hear the Pennsylvania case. So you can get more information again on MediaMahima.com. Let's go on over and talk a little bit about the coronavirus, Manajan. Today is a day that will live in infamy. The United States today closed in on the staggering milestone of 500,000 COVID-19 deaths just over a year to the day since the coronavirus pandemic claimed its first known U.S. victims in our county, Manajan, that's Santa Clara County, California.
Well, wait, say it again.
The first known victims were here, right? Santa Clara County.
Correct, yeah.
The country had recorded more than 28 million COVID-19 cases and about 499,510 lives have been lost as of this morning, according to a Reuters tally of public health data, although daily deaths and hospitalizations have fallen to their lowest levels since before Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays. About 19% of the total global coronavirus deaths have occurred in the United States, an outsized figure given that the nation accounts for just 4% of the world's population. And Anthony Fauci says these numbers are just stunning. If you look back historically, we've done worse than almost any other country, and we are supposedly a highly developed, rich country. In updates from India, India reported over 14,000 COVID-19 cases in the last 24 hours, and the total cases in the country has now reached 110,000. Of these, 150,000. I'm sorry, the total cases has reached 1.1 million actually, and of these 1,00,000 are active cases. The total discharges are 1.06 million, and the death stands at 1.5 lakhs as of today.
We don't understand the lakhs part of it, but then it's like 1.5 is like almost 150,000 cases.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I also want to share one more thing, Fatani. You said 500,000 deaths is what we reached, right? Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Of that, Baranjan, you should know that Californians, in fact, California had close to around 50,000 total deaths.
Wow.
It's out of the 50 states, it seems like California has got to the highest death
Number
rates.
of deaths?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And of course, Santa Clara County-wise, if you look at it, there is still a 0.3% increase. So there are around close to 350 odd cases of new cases of corona coming up every day. So again, please be mindful. Wash your hands. Maintain the PPE use of PPEs. In other words, the personal protection equipment. Please use the mask. Please use the face shield, whatever you're going to use, and maintain the 6 feet distance from people. Even now, we still got to be there because we still just as of yesterday, we had in Santa Clara County around 3 new deaths.
Right.
Yeah, and it's just gonna it's exponentially. It's not so. It's the increase has dropped, but it is increasing as in number of cases, positive cases. That you got to watch out for. And again, the same situation also in Alameda County. I think it's around 0.3% again. New cases coming up, so around 200 cases coming up every day.
Right. And one thing that's being discussed right now, in fact, as of I think the governor and the California legislators have come to an agreement that schools should be reopening for at least, these high performance sports. Those teams should come back and start to practice, apparently. But there's also Governor Newsom who is saying that teachers be prioritized for vaccine administration, and that's probably going to, according to the latest directive, I think it's going to be that teachers are going to be receive the vaccines as of Feb 28th. And speaking of teachers may play an important role in the transmission of COVID-19 within schools. The CDC is saying today, with citing a study conducted in elementary schools in a Georgia school district. The report comes after researchers from the agency last month said there was little evidence that schools are spreading COVID-19 infections in the country, based in part on a study of schools in Wisconsin, easing concerns about allowing in-person learning. The Wisconsin study found significantly lower virus spread within schools compared with transmission in surrounding communities. The investigation, involving about 2,600 students and 700 staff members of a Georgia school district's elementary schools, showed 9 clusters of COVID-19 cases involving 13 educators and 32 students at 6 elementary schools, the CDC said. Of these, 2 clusters involved probably teacher-to-teacher transmission that was followed by teacher-to-student transmission in classrooms. The agency said in its Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report. I didn't know there was a report like that. Anyway, transmission from teachers resulted in about half of 31 school-related cases, according to the investigation. So, of course, in California, they're saying that they're going to vaccinate teachers, and lawmakers are going to discuss teachers coming back to school, offer in-person instruction as of April. But Governor Newsom doesn't want to wait that long. They're saying in-person instruction has to start earlier. So, we'll bring you the update right here as and when that happens. But let's talk a little bit about Texas. About 8.8 million people in Texas, about a third of the state's population, still had issues with their water supply As of early Monday, authorities told Reuters, after a record-breaking freeze knocked out power stations last week. Millions of Texans are still being advised to boil water before using, though all power plants were back online over the weekend and power had been restored to most homes as the weather returned to normal. Officials in Houston, the biggest city in the state, said water there was safe to use without boiling as of Sunday. But let's tell you, Banjan, in Texas, something else is happening aside from the water supply. One of the issues is with regard to their power bills, electricity, energy, heat and electricity bills. And what has happened there is that Texas Republican Michael McCall says, according to him, says part of the relief that's going to come from President Joe Biden, who has approved a major disaster declaration for Texas. This relief is going to help residents pay the exorbitant energy bills they received as the result of the storm. Apparently, there's a rule in Texas, right? Because they're a capitalist-friendly state, right?
Yeah.
So what they do is, there's something called wholesale or something. When there's more of the wholesale power that's being used, the company can increase its rates. So somebody who got a bill of just as little as $200 last month, I was listening to this news report, is now has already in this month in February, okay, and we're not through all of February, has racked up a bill already of $10,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's that much of an increase. So the more they tap into that, so and people are not able to get out of the plan, so becoming more and more, cumbersome, and at the same time, people are struggling under this. So basically, legislators are saying now that they need to have a heavier hand in regulating this right now. So we'll get you more information about that as and when that unfolds right here, Banajan. In the meanwhile, the White House's stimulus bill is expected to move through the Budget Committee and to a floor vote this week. And the biggest obstacle to its passage is the inclusion of the $15 minimum wage championed by progressive Democrats. Some in the party don't think that this issue will pass reconciliation, a budget process that requires each provision to adhere to a strict set of rules. Meanwhile, the White House has indicated it's open to studying the merits of a financial transaction tax following the GameStop stock frenzy. Supporters say a tax on trading could boost investor protection and market integrity and raise badly needed revenue. The notion is, of course, now despised by Wall Street. And many of you know about the United Flight 328, which suffered a catastrophic engine failure on Saturday, forcing the Boeing 777 bound for Honolulu to return to its origin in Denver. Debris from the plane rained down on Denver neighborhoods, and a passenger video from the ordeal looks straight like it's out of a nightmare. Now Boeing is recommending the suspension of all its 777 model planes with the same engine as the one involved in the incident. United Airlines has already removed all 24 of its planes with that engine from service. Both the Federal Aviation Administration and the National Transportation Safety Board are now investigating, and initial findings revealed fractured and damaged fan blades in the engine. Let's go on and talk a little bit about what is going on with regard to the tech world. Bitcoin fell on Monday after surging to its latest record high a day earlier as a sell-off in global equities curbed risk, with some investors also citing concerns about the rapid surge in the virtual currency's price. Traders also pointed to the unwinding of high long positions in the cryptocurrency. It fell to 47,400, a one-week low. At one point, it lost nearly 17% of its value and wiped out about $160 billion from its total market capitalization.
Yeah, I just don't understand this cryptocurrency part of it. It's fake money after all.
Yeah, No, is it fake money is the question, because they're now starting banking with cryptocurrency.
Well,
too.
that's what I'm telling you. Even the money which is there in the stock market is fake. Nothing is real.
I don't know. It baffles me.
They call it the Ethereum. They say that in the world of the Ethereum, whatever thing it is. And of course, it means that it is a fake word, right? In the ethos is there somewhere, right? It's like,
Yeah.
people can mine it, they say.
You could just take a
Well, you
bin
can create,
and
by the
pick
way,
it.
you can create your own cryptocurrency. We can create really hotties cryptocurrency.
Yeah, like Facebook did, right? Lira or something. And no, what did they call it? Libre.
Libre, and
Yeah.
they failed on it. They
Yeah.
just they canned it.
Yeah.
But anybody can create a cryptocurrency, by the way, but it just has to be accepted only.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's create a cryptocurrency called love, and we'll spread it across everybody.
Yes, exactly. Punjab.
And everybody gets a starting account of $1 million love dollars.
Yes! That's awesome. You
Yeah.
can pay with love.
You can pay with love.
Yeah. How do you pay? Well, what do you need to pay for? Well, we'll have to figure that
We'll
out.
figure
We
it
just
out.
have to
Don't
flesh it
worry.
out.
And then we'll give you everybody a nice standard bank balance, a fat bank balance. Every year we'll reset it. So they give you $1 million anyway to see how much love you have got and how much you give out.
Well,
And now here the winner is the person who gives out the most.
Yeah. Talking about the fat bank balances, clearly those MPs who kind of tanked the Congress's position in Puducherry, they say that they were paid off by BJP. So,
Sir, how much money does this Congress have got, right? Seriously?
no, it's not Congress that paid, man.
No, BJP would not pay. I'm not talking Congress. how
BJP
much-
has paid. The Congress on Monday lost its lone government in South India after the V. Narayanaswamy-led alliance lost the floor test in Puducherry Assembly. With the latest setback, the Congress political footprint in India has shrunk even further, with the grand old party now in power on its own metal in just 3 states, Punjab, Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh. And what happened in Puducherry? Well, you'll have to go and look it up on mediamahima.com because we don't have time for that right now. Because we need to share with you this last headline, which is with regard to the Delhi court sending 21-year-old climate activist Disha Ravi, who was arrested in connection with allegedly being involved in sharing a tool on social media related to the farmers' protest, to a 1-day police custody. Chief Metropolitan Magistrate Pankaj Sharma allowed custodial interrogation of Ravi after police said she was required to be confronted with co-accused. Ravi was produced before the court on expiry of a 3-day judicial custody. The court on Friday had sent her to judicial custody after police said her custodial interrogation was not required for the time being. So that is what is going on that front as well, Banajan. And if you want to catch up on how the Chinese spyware code apparently was copied from America's NSA, and also you want to find out a little bit more about how you remember the SolarWinds hack that happened of the US governmental agencies?
Yeah.
Well, the US House committees are going to be holding February 26th hearing on that. So if you want to find out more about all of that, you can go to mediamahima.com. That's all we have time for on this morning's Good Morning Babe in the Gym. We'll be back tonight, live at 5 on the Pam Pam Show. Definitely tune in. Have yourselves a magnificent Monday.